Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Politics Now. We're talking about modern politics in modern America. And today we are going to be discussing why DeSantis not only is absolutely being destroyed in the polls, but also when it comes to the first four states and the states that will kick off the primary, he is not doing good in them at all, and he is likely to lose every single one of those states. So, yeah, let's get into that. So, DeSantis right now, he is not having a good time at all. He is at rock bottom. Trump is cruising at 55%, which is his all-time high ever since about a month ago or a couple of months ago. He was up there in a little bit of spikes, but overall he's been in the low 50s. Now he's in the mid 50s, so he's doing pretty good. And the debates are about to start, so he's doing pretty well considering how the debates haven't even started. The first debate hasn't even happened. It's going to happen in a few days, but he is not attending, so it's not really going to affect him in the polls. But DeSantis, that is definitely going to affect him in the polls. He could probably lose a couple of percentage points. He is at 14%, and he's declining. Considering how the debates are going to start soon, and DeSantis does not have the chops to debate properly, he pretty much has no charisma. So he is going to struggle in those debates, and he does not have the pleasure of being at around, I don't know, 30 points before he announced, where still there was a lot of people who liked him, and a lot of Trump voters still like him, but again, they like Trump more, so they're definitely going to vote for Trump more. And considering how that voter base has shrunk, because DeSantis has been going completely off the rails for the past 3 months just due to the primary election, and he has truly revealed his true colors, and it is turning a lot of people off. And it's pretty impressive to lose half of your base in 3 months before a debate even starts. This is the kind of loss that you would expect at a debate where somebody does absolutely terrible at the debates while somebody else completely destroys them. That's what you would expect, a massive loss of half of your base just to be lost in 3 months to be expected from a debate. We haven't even gotten to the first debate, and he is already in the toilet. His campaign is on fire, and he is likely to drop to all these other candidates who are at 3 or 5%, where DeSantis used to be the front runner in a lot of these states, but now every single state that has polls released for it, he is not up in any of those. Even the most friendly DeSantis states like Utah and Florida, he is not winning any of them. And especially Utah, Trump is beating him by a large majority. And Florida, he's still beating him by a pretty decent majority considering how DeSantis is the governor of Florida and he is fairly popular there. He might not be as popular there now because what he's done in the primary election has not exactly improved his credibility. It's more so ruined his chances of having a future in politics. So that's not very good to win a nomination. And especially since Florida is a win the majority, you take every single vote there kind of state, you definitely need to win a majority there. And looking at the polls now, DeSantis isn't doing well at all. And he is probably going to lose the state. But really, your campaign is going to be decided by how the first four states are going to go. So that initial start is going to dictate your entire campaign. And we saw this in 2016 where Trump absolutely destroyed everyone in the first four states. And that dictated his primary campaign because because he absolutely swept because he absolutely swept the floor with everyone there. He won a majority of the states and won the nomination. And that was when he was not in politics and had never held political office. And now he's a former president and he's pretty popular with and he is and he's pretty popular with Republicans. So that is a massive advantage that he has compared to DeSantis. And DeSantis is his only real competition. Ramaswamy is basically going for a cabinet position at this point, and a lot of these other people, they're stagnating. Mike Pence is going to stay at 5% pretty much. There's no one that likes Mike Pence anymore, and he's really destroyed all bridges built with Trump after 2020, and he's really not going to be vice president or even have a cabinet position. He's just gone full neocon in the past few years. So Trump is pretty much just going to completely reject him if he ever applies for any cabinet position or, hell, even the vice presidency. So pretty much none of these people are actually going to get the nomination. And the people that can are either DeSantis, who his campaign is currently on fire, or the Ramaswamy, who pretty much isn't actually competing against Trump for the nomination. He's more so fighting for a cabinet position, or maybe if he's lucky, he can get the vice presidency. But still, that's not good. If DeSantis is your main candidate who is supposed to go against Trump, and he's doing this bad, Trump is going to win. And your main candidate is going to be a complete dumpster fire, and you're eventually going to withdraw your support, and it's going to be split amongst all of these other 3%, 5% people. And this is the exact same thing that happened in 2016. Jeb Bush was supposed to be the front runner. They invested all of their support into him. He didn't work out that well. So they pretty much divided all of their support amongst all the other sort of Jeb Bush type candidates that were pretty much the backups for Jeb Bush. And Trump won the nomination with a pretty decent landslide. So Trump has all of the advantages compared to 2016, and he still won in 2016, where DeSantis has pretty much shot himself in the foot multiple times, so he's stuck at 14% and is likely going to reach 5%, if not 3%. By the time the primary is over, he's going to be at like 3 or 5%. So he's really going to have no future in politics. And looking at all of these states that are going to be the major first states, you look at all of them and he is not doing good in them at all. Iowa, he used to be actually beating Donald Trump in a couple of these polls, but now Trump plus 30, Trump plus 27, Trump plus 24, plus 26, and the overall spread is about 27 points up. And DeSantis is not doing well at all. He is doing absolutely terrible in the state, and this is likely going to be the first state. So if you're already starting off with a massive loss like this, where you're pulling at around 16%, that's not good. If you're getting 16% of the vote in the first state, that's not a good sign for your future primary election, where a lot of people are going to drop their support once they realize, oh crap, he just lost the first state. So that isn't going to go well for him at all. But you look at all these other states that are likely going to be in the first wave of states, kind of like New Hampshire. He he does better in that state, but because, there's a lot of sort of rhino, neocon, center-left Republicans where they would most likely like DeSantis's sort of neocon, George Bush type candidacy. So you would expect that he would do better here. But no, of course he doesn't. Of course, he somehow screws up and does worse in a state which is much more DeSantis friendly than a place like Iowa, and he's somehow doing worse there. 31-point spread. That is not good at all. 39 points, 40 points, 30 points. That's not good if you're losing by that much to your opponent in a state where a lot of these people do not like populism and they do not like Trump's types of politics. So you would expect that DeSantis would be doing at least a little bit better, but he's not. He's losing by 30 points. That's almost as much as he's losing nationally. So if he's losing by that much in New Hampshire, imagine how much he's losing by states where he's even less popular, like Iowa, Montana, California, all of these other states that really have more Trump support there than DeSantis support. He's doing absolutely terrible there. And going through all the other states where they're going to be the first states, South Carolina, that's also a pretty big first state, he's losing by 26 points. That's not good. That's not good at all. You're losing by so many points in a lot of these first states that if you lose by that much in the first 4 states, you're going to lose a lot of support, and that's going to make winning these more pro-DeSantis states a lot harder because a lot of those initial supporters who supported you because they thought you were going to win, well, they're going to withdraw their vote because you have shown you clearly cannot win any state in the first four. So you have South Carolina, which should be a more pro-DeSantis state because they like rhinos, they like neocons. Florida is pretty close to South Carolina, so he kind of has an appeal there. Not as much appeal as he would in a place like Georgia, Alabama, or Florida, or maybe even Utah. But he should still have more appeal there, but he doesn't. He is, in fact, losing to Nikki Haley in one of these polls, which if you're losing to Nikki Haley, that's not a good sign. And the past poll had Nikki Haley down at 8% while DeSantis was at 18%, so he should have been winning. And now, in only 1 month between polling, the newest poll comes out. Nikki Haley is beating him. That's not good. How are you losing to Nikki Haley? That is embarrassing. And I know that Nikki Haley has South Carolina appeal because, you know, she's a candidate there, and she would obviously have more appeal than DeSantis there, but Nikki Haley is polling at 3 or 5% most days, so she shouldn't have that much of a lead over you, and she shouldn't be beating you at all, because you're clearly supposed to be the front runner for the anti-Trump movement in the primary, and if you're losing to Nikki Haley in South Carolina, that shows that your campaign is in the gutter and you should likely reconsider whether or not you should still be in this race. So you have a lot of these states, and pretty much all these states where polling is at, DeSantis is losing. He is losing by major majorities, even in Florida. Florida, he is the popular governor of that state. He should be winning by quite a large majority, and he should at least make Florida a tough fight if he's losing by this much in the national polls. No, Trump is beating him by 10 points. That is terrible. That is absolutely awful. That is only half of how much Trump is beating him in Iowa. That is so terrible that you might as well drop out of the race because that shows that you are so incompetent, that your campaign is such a disaster that you can't even get more than 36% of the vote in your own state. Even Nikki Haley still has enough appeal that she's beating you in South Carolina. That is how much appeal that you should have in a place like Florida, especially since you're more popular than Nikki Haley in your own state, so you should have more appeal there, but you don't. You have less appeal, and you are somehow losing by even wider majorities than somebody like Nikki Haley would be losing in her own state if DeSantis wasn't in the race. So, honestly, just drop out. It's not worth it at this point. You're losing in every single poll in every single state, and the national scene is so embarrassing that I would pretty much drop out at this point. The debates would completely kill your campaign. So at least save face by not showing everyone how incompetent you are at debating, and let Trump score a massive win against you when he does this thing with Tucker Carlson and would likely get better ratings than the Fox News debate. So that would be a complete embarrassment for him. So just drop out. It's not worth it at this point. If you continue in this race, your poll numbers are going to go so low that honestly, you will never have a future in politics ever again. And even if you run for president in 2028, you're going to be polling at 4%. That is the best that you will be polling at. Or you could be polling like Chris Christie, who most days is polling at 2%. You're going to be one of those candidates. You're going to be the candidate that was supposed to be the front runner and then now polls at 2% and just joins the race for whatever reasons. For Chris Christie, it's to eat food. For all these other candidates, it's just to... I have no idea why they do it. It's just... They just do it for fun. It, it's pretty embarrassing why they would join the race that they know that they would lose. But still, DeSantis is that candidate. He is the biggest example of joining the race that you know that you will lose just to prove a point. So DeSantis, just drop out. It's not worth it anymore. And honestly, he's done for. He is just completely in the gutter, and he will not win the nomination. If he wins the nomination, he either is cheating or he pulled off some miracle, because how do you win the nomination at 14%? That is crazy, and that is embarrassing that to the pollsters, because if somebody manages to win at 14%, then that just shows that the polls are completely wrong in every single circumstance. So, if you think DeSantis could win, which honestly, no, just no, he can't win. No, no, nobody thinks that he can win outside of DeSantis. He's the only guy that thinks that he could win. Even his campaigners, no matter how delusional they are, and no matter how much they can convince him that he somehow can manage to turn it all around and win the nomination, they are now admitting that he is going to lose and that he should probably either rework his campaign so that he can save face or drop out and accept the embarrassment and defeat. So, if you think that he can win, leave the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.